That they better describe areas that they're looking for because they didn't have the it's very
You know what? This whole
and only 80 of that
as long as we don't find what the absolute potato over this thing.
what we could find by what they described. So I want to come up with a better view of the property. And also, yeah, did something with the park. From
That's the purpose to go ahead.
I was listening to this one. We had those on 2 storms. But we were like doing something.
Budget looks good.
Yeah, let's do that.
I got another pair. You need this pair.
Yeah.
Want to wear those? You should wear those.
I think
You should see what's coming this year.
We're trading. You're trading.
Well, it's a good thing about it.
A little frivolity.
Oh, wait a minute. He's on. Better or worse? You need these?
Yeah, I like the bling on the side there, Rich.
Richie will talk about it tonight. Yeah, these are better.
Your ring don't go up.
None of this talks about so it doesn't matter if they have a chimney or not. It says you can't crush up bones and make small to metal, blah, 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 but it doesn't say. I read it all today. Word for
Yeah,
word.
so that way table can.
It's just, they don't talk about it. So I told you that, like, weeks that are brand that we're going to address.
That would be directional.
Somebody's in there.
Yeah, we don't need that before the party at the park.
But let's not talk about
We just don't need it in part.
this. Is what I don't. I don't need this budget. Currently,
And we have all of it.
what are our
We're
team?
going with
Is this your budget?
all my stuff.
But I think I got. No, I'm in your budget.
Okay.
These meetings and tomorrow, you're taking it like a
I'm like trying to get rid of. Trying to minimize. Trying to minimize.
Gonna be a minimalist.
Minimalist and minimize. And that's nama.
Yeah, we're a little fast there.
Nama.
I'll bring this meeting to work. Really?
It's fast.
Shannon, roll call.
Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Here.
Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
Commissioner Bowe,
Here.
Commissioner White,
Here.
and the minutes will show that Mayor Roberts was not present.
Commissioner White will lead us in prayer and pledge.
Will you bow your heads with me? Father, we thank you for the great weather we've been having. A little more rain, please. Please help us with some of the more difficult decisions we have this evening. And we also need to think about Memorial Day and everyone who's laid their life down for us so that we can have a more great, free nation to live in. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Give me a second. Work on bar equipment. There we go. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Motion was made in second. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Roll call, Shannon.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion for the consideration of minutes of May 12th, 2025.
There's a motion made and second. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Roll call, Shannon?
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Gann.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner and staff reports, Shannon?
Yes, Mayor Commissioners, we have 2 positions that are coming open in the Parks and Recreation Board. That would be Marla Price and Quaver Griffin. And I have spoken to them. They both would like to be considered to be appointed. And we also have the Planning and Zoning Board. There's got 3 positions there, but we haven't heard from anyone so far on that board. It might not be until further down the line.
When do they expire?
They expire in June.
June. Okay. Same way as the Parks Board?
Yes, Parks and Recreation.
Okay, thank you.
And that Marla's position is the ETC member of that board.
Where all do you advertise that when you have openings?
Lovington Leader.
Okay. Can we put it on our Facebook page too?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Is that it, Shannon?
That's it. Thank you.
Ms. Neverett?
I have 4 summer positions that we just placed. I've got 2 pending positions. That one is a rehire. The other one is going through background check and should be cleared by Wednesday. So we have 1 open position, 2 open positions with fire department people that are recruiting for police. I'll be starting a new police officer next week. And, open enrollment begins today, and that will be, we'll have United Healthcare on site June the 18th and the 19th to answer any employees' questions and get that transferred over so that United Healthcare is going to take over the dental for a significant discount that with more options and more substance to what's covered under dental policies. So that's it for me.
When is that again?
June the 18th and the 19th. I'll be sending an email out in the morning. I have it drafted, I just haven't gotten approved, so.
Thank you. Chief Clark?
Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. We had 2 uncertified officers take their written test last Wednesday, and they'll be, once we find out the results of those tests, we'll be moving forward into the process. And they complete the physical fitness portion, and as long as both of them pass, they'll move into the next phase. The police department awning and emergency police and fire building will be up for vote tonight at the commission. The Special Olympics walk and run was held last Tuesday, May the 20th. Everything went off without any issues. And well, May the 20th, the Special Olympics that have walked, and some participants ran all the way to Avenue D. A small group of people continued on to Artesia and they passed the torch on to them. The Enterprise fleet, with 2 of our vehicles have already been delivered, and with the last 3 should be delivered this week. And Commissioner Bolt, the LACO bill has the 2 different charges. The first one, the $1,221, was our landline bill, and the $771 was our internet bill. And that's all I just have for any questions.
Any questions by the board? Chief Skip?
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. So we've had 1 employee who did resign. Her last day was, well, her last shift was last night. This morning was her last day that she turned all her stuff in. So that means we now have 2 openings, and we will have a new hire testing on June 13th. I am going to Lubbock tomorrow to check on the new grass truck, see the progression of it, kind of spec it over it because we should be getting close to delivery on that. The Academy cadets took part in the Special Olympic torch run, and they also took part in the ceremonies for the Memorial Day on Monday. And I've received an email, I received it this afternoon, regarding the ISO results. This next year, the Lovington Fire Department will be dropping to a Class 3 ISO rating.
Nice.
So we did drop 1 point from the last ISO rating, which means our ISO, this insurance rate should hopefully see a slight drop, and the fire department should receive more funding from the state for this. Other than that, that's all I have. Now, is there any
When
questions?
is that effective?
Say that again?
When is that effective?
It will go in effect September 1. But he said we should see that money reflection on this, after the June, we get a check in August, he said it should come on this year's, reflect on this year's state fire fund.
So we went from a 2 to a 3?
We went from a 4 to a 3.
4 to a 3.
Yes, sir, we dropped 1, which is what you want to do. The best you can get is 1.
Okay, I have it confused.
Yeah, me too.
Chief, can you let the New Mexico Self-Insurance Fund know?
Yes, sir, I will.
Thank you, Skip.
So I have not received that actual paperwork. I just received an email from my representative from the state. He said the mayor may see it, the city manager may get it, or Ms. Shannon may get it. He said he's not sure who they'll send it to, but they just be on the lookout for it.
Well, thank you, and congratulations. Any questions by the board? Commissioner Volk?
Yes, I just wanted to say something here. October 25th, 1983, Operation Urgent Fury in Grenada. My best friend at the time, Sergeant Mark A. Rademacher, gave the ultimate sacrifice. I just want to make sure that our fallen people know why we have Memorial Day, that we honor them. My condolences are out to all the families who have fallen, and my gratitude is out to all the families also, and all our service personnel that are out there now. Thank you very much. I said it hits home. It hits home. Some of us more than others. I just want to make sure again that people know why we have Memorial Day. So thank you on that to all our service personnel. On a lighter note, like I say, I see things on the north side of town moving along over at Albertson's area down there. I know on the streets they're doing some construction, brought down the single lanes. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that it's put out there, that it's known. When you're up by the hospital area, just be careful. There's a lot of people out working on the roads. We don't want to have any accidents or incidents. Been by the cemeteries, the parks. They're looking really nice. Thank you very much. Around the fire halls, looking very good. So thank you guys for doing the job you're doing, having our city look very nice. It shows that you take pride in it, so thank you. And again, let's shop local, eat local, buy local, watch movies local, pray local, and be thankful. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner Bolt. The only thing I want to do is I personally want to thank the City of Lovington. The cemetery did a great job for the Memorial Day yesterday, as well as the Lovington Fire Department. Thank you, Skip. Your crew would be out there. They helped us with the flag, so they were on target yesterday with us. So also the Punishers were there. It's a cycle club. They normally show every year, and I want to definitely give them cahoots because they're there every year to support. American Legions also were there as well. So I want to say thank you and everybody that participated. It was a good day, and we did get all the flags out. So just that's all I got to say. Thank you. Commissioner? Commissioner Gandy?
So it's been brought to my attention that we've done all the road construction work on Main Street, and some of the things that we always took for granted, like the holes that were in the concrete for flags and different things like that. I don't know how we're going to address that for Memorial Day and events where we put flags out in front of businesses and different things. So somebody just mentioned that to me. And then someone also mentioned on, since we're still talking about road construction, the intersection on Central and, not Central, Lord, wrong street, Commercial and Avenue D. We bought some real fancy flashing lights that were.
They are going to be restored to the
Okay,
flash.
well, we just were making sure somebody knew where they were at.
Yes.
So,
That is being taken care of.
okay, so we will see those in the next 4 to 6 years.
The Lions Club was asking about how do we deal with that, they used to have all the flags out.
Yeah, that's right.
And do we want to drill holes?
So I know Constructors Inc. did drill holes for the businesses that asked for them to be put back in.
Right.
So like Cornerstone and stuff did request those holes to be put back in for their flags.
Right.
So they have it.
Okay.
The others, if they didn't ask, and I did ask the business and I asked Main Street to get the word out to them, we never heard back, but from Deanne and Cornerstone is the only two businesses that responded wanting those.
The
those
wonderful
back.
word assume, people assume that it's gonna be the same, like it was gonna be 2 lanes more than what it is, no turning lane. So we assumed wrong, so they assumed wrong on the flagpole thing there too. So, yeah, I don't know what we can do to remedy that, but.
Just leave.
All right.
Yeah, it's preferably we do it since it has that water line for all them plants they plant. I know someone's gonna hit it.
Yeah,
I
don't
know they'll
drill
hit it.
into those new water lines.
But other than that, that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good evening.
Melissa?
I don't have anything. I've just been trying to keep the department running and the bills paid. I don't know if y'all have any questions for me.
Good. Any questions by the board? No questions by the board.
Good.
City Manager?
Commissioners, I provided for you the city manager report in front of you. It did not go into the packets last week, my apologies. My first slide is the GRT number for March 2025 came in at $918,000. Where's Kevin? Oh, okay. $918,000. This compares with $913,000 for the same period last year and $844,000 for the previous month. So our trailing 12-month GRT average now stands at $906,000 a month. As you can see, except for the blip in January, we continue to trend in a range of between $800,000 and $1.1 million per month. Also, if you exclude the COVID years, you can see that between the years 2018 and 2020, we used to trend in a $600,000 to $800,000 range. So I don't want to say this is the new normal, but that's the way we've been going for 2 years. And then the bottom chart illustrates the relationship between our GRTs and the price of crude, which has been trading around the $60 level for some months, and crude is still down 17% for the year. Huh? Well, now I'm going to go to the water usage. Got the water usage up there? Okay. So, I did have a slide that was going to show the city's water usage over the past 2 years. The only reason I was going to show it is because an interesting thing happened last month. If you notice, every April and May, our water usage starts to move upwards and it peaks in August. But, however, this past month, water usage, or billing month, our water usage actually dropped 36% from the same period the previous year. And it's not going to be on your charts there because that number came in after that. I printed those. But you'll see May has a drastic drop downwards. We think it's from all the rain we got, and it just illustrates how much of our water consumption is associated with non-critical categories such as lawns, swimming pools, and washing cars. Pass that down. I have reached out to a firm called Jordan Johnson Incorporated, who performs Norlee's strategic planning on a regular basis. As you know, the city of Lovington has not had a strategic plan performed in 10 years, so it is my goal to have one done this year. We did have a downtown master plan prepared in 2018 by Community by Design and New Mexico Main Street. but that was more focused on the redevelopment of the downtown area, as the name implies. I'm going to distribute some material to the commissioners to explain a little bit more about Jordan Johnson's services. Additionally, I would like to let the commissioners know that our Youth Center summer program is fully enrolled. We have 52 students signed up for our summer program. Their parents will be paying $25 a week, and that is the maximum. So that is double from last year. Most of you know, but the city has hired a new finance director and an additional deputy finance director, both of whom arrive in early July. Our new city finance director he is a certified public accountant. Our additional deputy finance director has an MBA in finance. So I think we will now have a very deep bench in the finance department. In the meantime, tonight we will present to you for consideration the preliminary budget for the next fiscal year for submission to DFA by the June 2nd preliminary budget deadline. Then we will make adjustments in the July-August time period. Ed Fiero will be on standby. If you have any questions, we can reach him by phone. The city has entered into the second year of a 3-year agreement with auditor Patillo, Brown & Hill in preparation for the new audit, which is due in September. And finally, we have been working on cleaning up the ICIP list and reviewing proposed asks for the commission to consider at the June 9th meeting. And I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Are there any questions by the board? City Planner, Crystal?
Mayor Commissioner, so I was out of town last week in training for my certified floodplain management certification, getting those credits to keep certification. My coordinator was in training with the New Mexico planning and zoning officials, getting some of her training started to work towards some of her certificates. And even though we were both gone and in training all week, we still processed 89 roofing permits while we were out of town. We have quite a few more to still get caught up on, but we tried to keep up as best we could while we were both out of town in training. But like I said, we're still going through permits like crazy. So we have asked code enforcement to kind of step up. I did get a call from the state inspector today. He tagged 6 contractors working without city or state permits. So we just need to reiterate to our citizens to please make sure your contractors have their state and city permits before they start doing the roofs, because code enforcement is going to get out there and she's going to start giving them citations. The state has already been red tagging. So we're just trying to make sure people wait and get the proper inspections done. State inspector said he's had some really bad roofs turn up this time around, because the last time around they just went through them and nobody was slowing them down, and a bunch of the roofs were not done properly. And that's hard on the citizens, because then they have to pay that extra cost out of pocket.
Yeah, I mentioned that the other day to Warren. I
Yeah.
said, we're
Make
just
sure.
here to protect the citizens.
Yes, we are.
That's
That
why
is
everything's
exactly
in
why we
place.
do it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so my construction projects are moving along. I know Scott talked about the construction up on North Main, and yeah, that will be intermediate with that lane closure in and out, working on that work there. So just do proceed with caution. Most of our Main Street work is done. I know that they should have been done with all the valve. Robert here, did they get all the valve covers undone for you on the water line? Most of them, so we probably still have a few more. So there'll be a few more cones, because they're now going through, and once they pave over, then they have to cut those holes out where those valves are actually located. So that's the last bit of the work they're doing, is doing that. Placing signs. I know I've had some complaints on some of the signage that they placed where it's like on the road and in the curb, and so I will be going through those with DOT on the final walkthrough.
And the light,
The final walkthrough?
the light.
Oh.
Did they finally get the light running?
The what?
On D
Light
and
at
Main?
Main and D.
Oh, it's supposed to be set within this next couple of weeks.
Because I keep cussing every time I say
Yeah,
that.
it's still,
I really
Red
do.
means stop. No, stop.
yeah.
No, I keep looking for the
And
camera
when
because I'm
somebody
cussing.
stops at those green lights at, Central and Washington,
Yeah, don't just lay on your horn because they're
Yeah.
used to stopping at a four-way. Just be patient. Everybody will get back into, just be cautious. Because a lot of people just go right through it.
Yeah, they have.
And some people are still trying to stop, still thinking it's a four-way, so just be cautious. That's all I'm asking.
Is there any questions by the board? There's no questions by the board. Opening up for public comment. I see no public comment. Moving on to discussion items. City manager.
Commissioners, the first non-action item is a discussion of the drought proclamation by Matthew Ritchie of Lovington Fire Department.
Commissioners, city personnel. So right now, I've been kind of keeping an eye on the drought. Right now, we're at a moderate level. With that, there are no direct restrictions or anything. If y'all would like for me to write up a proclamation, I can for future in case the drought does change. Right now, though, we're at just at a moderate level. Lee County's kind of expected to be at a moderate level throughout the rest of the.
So to add with Mr. Ritchie's, so if y'all do want him to draw up a proclamation, that has to be done by the next commission meeting, because it has to be done prior to 30 days of the 4th of July.
Yeah.
So,
Did you want to get hung with a new rope?
no, I'm just saying,
I just want to make sure I know what kind of rope they
I'm just saying, if y'all are requesting one, it has to be by the next commission, but as of right now, we do not have, like, by law, we cannot put out a ban, because we're in moderate, so. We just want the commission to know it's on the table, and we'll do what they want us to do.
Could you go? I really appreciate it. No, we're good to go. Appreciate that. City manager.
Commissioners, our next discussion item, Commissioner White brought up the possibility of kind of ascertaining our health insurance. As you know, we did an insurance review last year of all city insurance except for health and dental and vision. It resulted in the city saving about 20% on our annual insurance premiums. I'll remind the commissioners that our health insurance cycle does run on a fiscal year cycle. And I think Veronica and/or Shannon might have some additional input into our doing this.
I mentioned it earlier, that we're starting open enrollment as of today. Emails going out to all the employees with all of the medical and vision haven't changed. Prices decreased for the company overall. Then the new dental plan is going into effect as well, effective July 1. So for getting an RFP out, we probably want to go either 90 days to 6 months to get accurate RFP versus, if we're going July 1st, we don't have enough time to get a full RFP done, but properly done. But I will definitely have that on the docket for next year to make sure we get it done with plenty of time to announce any changes or possible vendor changes. Right now we're with United Healthcare, and they gave us a significant discount by signing early, along with giving us a better dental program where employees actually have higher out-of-pocket maximums that they can, they'll pay more out-of-pocket. The city isn't taking any additional hit to any payouts that we do. The city's going to maintain what we pay. Any additional costs will go through the employee at their request. So, any questions on the insurance?
Commissioner? Thank you. Yeah, that good job on that.
No, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Now with that, what are we just rolling it over? How's that working?
Yeah, it's anybody, because open enrollment is, because there aren't any changes to the plan or the cost, then anybody that either got married or got divorced or had a baby or anything that they consider a life event,
Right.
it opens up them that they can actually enroll in benefits or remove people from their benefit programs. So for the next year.
I would just amend that slightly, that our cost with United Healthcare did go up 10% this year, but the last 2-3 years, it hadn't really gone up much, so it was kind of overdue. And also, we are moving from Delta Dental to United Healthcare Dental, and as Veronica said, instead of the employee now having to pay everything after $1,000, now we're going to have to pay everything after $1,500. So they're actually paying $500 more, and you'll have the option with a little bit more out-of-pocket premiums. You can go to the $2,000 level and then a $3,000 level. So if you're going to pay a little more throughout the year, theoretically, the plan through United Healthcare Dental would pick up the first $3,000 of costs, depending on what you're having done, not necessarily orthodontics, right? But
Well, orthodontics is now covered under the new plan where it wasn't with Delta Dental.
so it's a better plan, it's a better dental plan.
It's more
But the United
robust than
Healthcare
services that
plan
are offered.
is staying the same for now.
Right, I was just gonna ask, because normally I would think that this would come in front of commission to change.
Right. Well, the dental was between us. I mean,
Yeah, it was
considered
just the dental change that was going on at the time. In all fairness, it was something that, medical benefits, things that there was just not even a 10% increase. It
Well, that
wasn't
was United
significant.
Healthcare, I think.
Wasn't
Shannon, was
significant
the
enough.
dental lower than Delta, or was it
Yeah.
the same?
It's just a little bit more.
But
But
that-
It's like
overall,
$3.
it's, you know, our rising cost was 10.6. We are getting a better plan with dental. They cover more.
I just thought it would be good to shop it around because we did have an increase and we've received a premium refund the last 3 years. And I know an increase is normal, but we didn't shop around the other and we did and it came out really ahead, so.
Yeah.
And they've had, the same places had this forever.
Yeah.
Right, but I just want to make sure that we're kept in the loop, because as commissioners, it is our job to look out for the employees of the city also.
And they just.
So I want to make sure that we all discuss that and have our best interests at hand. And I know we do, but, I mean, that's something that we also need to have eyes on, that we can make sure that
Next year-
decisions made.
Next year, I'll definitely give a 6-month head start to it.
And just to be clear, when we do that RFP, it would be not only for insurance coverage, but for insurance agents as well, right? I mean, it's to go hand in hand.
So can we run that like in November or October and then they can have 30 or so days to respond? And it takes a while for them to build a packet because we have so many employees
That's
and
why
everything.
we usually want to start usually 6 months to 90 days. is
But that's
really
the
pushing it.
holidays. So that's what I was saying, like,
Yeah, that's usually when they're going to be more informed anyway, because they're going to know what benefit plans are already out there. They've already shopped around for anybody that's on a calendar year, where us being on a fiscal year, it would give us a whole 6
most
months.
healthcare runs on October.
We changed
We
it.
changed.
It's been a while. I imagine it's been 8 to 10 years we've been on this fiscal. And they changed it to align with the fiscal year, just for budgeting, and it just seemed to work out better for budgeting, really.
And it's just from the employee's part of view, it's a really good insurance. If you have any coverage, that's, we want to make sure we have the same apples to apples coverage, because, going through a major medical thing, and I know I had to make several calls to them.
That's why I said.
because I had doctors trying to
you have
double bill
time to
me.
lie and everything.
And the insurance is like, no, don't pay that, we've already paid that.
Right.
So they were very, very good to work with, and that was, when you're going through a hard time, that really helps.
And I think in the past fiscal year, we had one claim over $1 million, another claim between $500,000 and $1 million, and another above $250,000. So we had some catastrophic claims.
And really, they say health insurance typically goes up around 10%. You just kind of figure that into your budget.
But you could use the same
Cost of inflation, cost of living.
Is there any more questions by the board? There's no more questions by the board. City Manager?
Commissioners, I wanted to bring up 2 items related to the Senior Citizen Center. First, as we have heard from Angela Corder at our last meeting, Lovington is the only municipality in the state that continues to provide a meals grab-and-go program, which is a leftover from COVID. As Ms. Corder explained in great detail, studies have shown that the grab-and-go program, while providing immediate convenience for some people, can be detrimental to the overall well-being of senior citizens. The intent of having a senior center is to promote congregation, socializing, physical activity, and intellectual stimulation. We are, in effect, trying to get them out of their chairs at home and into the center, which we continue to make improvements upon. When the state cut their funding, the city used its own funds to continue the program. In light of the evidence presented by Ms. Corder and budgetary considerations, we will not be budgeting for this program in the new fiscal year. I did receive a letter with a few attached signatures petitioning to not do away with the program. I think you guys got the same letter. Some of the reasons listed by the citizen are that because of physical, mental, and social issues, some citizens would never use this dine-in service. I would just remind everyone that people with qualifying conditions will be eligible for home delivery. If a senior citizen is still working and comes by during the lunch hour, they still have 20 minutes out. He walks to the center to pick up to their home. In short, we have consulted an expert, and it is felt that the best decision in the totality of the circumstances is to end the program, not to mention that it costs the city over $100,000 a year. Secondly, upon request by Commissioner White, Mrs. Leslie Bolt and I had a preliminary meeting with Angie Feliciano of Great Western Food Service last week. I have also been in touch with the district manager, Mark Daniels, who had various questions. Bear in mind that this is only the exploratory stage, and we will keep the commission posted when we gather more information about such things as cost, logistics, and other details. So we are looking at this just as a possible option because we've heard good things about this vendor, and we're just going to take a look at it and present it to the commission for review at some point. So I'll please stand by for any questions. Faye is also here if you have any questions for her directly.
The only thing that I would ask is that you provide us with data so we can see.
Yes, sir.
Numbers, figures.
Yes. We do about 1,800 to 2,000 congregate or in-house meals. I'm sorry, no, we do about 500 each of grab-and-go and in-house meals. We do 1,800 to 2,000 home deliveries. So this would not be a Meals on Wheels program because we already have the vehicles in place and the personnel to do the home deliveries, and we do a great job at it.
And I understand that some of the people possibly reside out our area, and I think that probably should be looked into a little bit and see how far outside the area, if we're talking about maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people that are outside city limits compared to if, let's say there's 50 people outside city limits, it's a different story. But I mean, we're going to be saving on one end. We're saving on one end if we can help some of the people out that are just on the outskirts. As far as not in city limits, I would look into that.
Faye, any idea about the impact?
We do go a 5-mile radius from the center, so it's a 5-mile radius.
Right.
We'll have to look at and see what we have outside that radius to see. I mean, and we're willing to do that, and we're also looking, because we are close to 70 home delivered meals right now that we're delivering daily. Once grab-and-go goes away, we're looking at sending out a 3rd vehicle to help alleviate some of the stress on just the 2 drivers. So we'd take one of our personnel that was doing grab-and-go and have them go out and deliver some meals.
Right.
So that would, make our capacity more, and we might be able to stretch, further out to help more people. So
Right.
I'm
And I
thinking about all
understand
this
that.
stuff.
Yes, I understand that,
Yeah.
definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And you saw those denied applications where you can go back and see how far they out they are, or can you get a hold of those? Or?
No, we haven't had any recent for outside our service area. So when we get those calls and we can check on that, and what we need is kind of a guideline, I think. So if we're at 5 miles from the center now, we probably need to say, okay, maybe we go 7 or 8 miles past the center.
Do we set the conditions on home delivery, or does the state dictate
The
that?
state gives us guidelines on what qualifies for a home delivered meal. So, in other words, you have to look at it and see, are they homebound? Are they, do they have anybody willing or able to provide that meal? Are they disabled? What's the reason for them being unable to prepare and get their own meals?
Or to come in and get it?
Or to come in and get a meal inside. And some of it, we kind of have to look at it from also a standpoint of, sometimes it is a social issue and they can't socialize with other people. So those are some of the things we look at. I mean, they make us ask so many questions, you guys, you don't even know. And they've changed it where there's a lot more questions.
Is there also a time, by the time you start delivering the meal?
Yes, we have like 2 hours, I think it is, to get that meal from the time it leaves our building to the time they get back, they've got 2 hours. And that's why we were saying, if we're gonna do more people, we're gonna have to have that third vehicle to go out and help relieve so that we don't have somebody out there 3 hours, you know. I'm not saying that's what's happening now, I'm just saying that can get to be a point that it could be a problem.
And you deliver meals on Fridays for the weekends?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We, by the end of this fiscal year, we will have delivered well over 20,000 meals for home delivered. So, and I budgeted next year 22,200 meals for home delivered, since I'm seeing the trend that more people are going into that stage. And we have a lot of people go on, they have to go into a nursing home, so they go off. People pass away, and they come off. But then you have 3 more people come on. So it's always a continuing, evolving program. So, and the state will be installing the closed system TV on the 2nd. Which will give people information on what the state programs are available and all that stuff.
So we'll keep the commission posted and maybe do a cost analysis or something like that.
And we might have to have some public input as well. Anything else from you?
Thank you, Faith. City Manager.
Commissioners, Commissioner Bolt brought up an interesting topic last time about what's called a pivot table, which is used by the finance department to sometimes allocate portions of a bill to different departments for budgetary reasons. And we did make a mistake in last month's pivot table, as Commissioner Bolt pointed out, whereby I think it was the museum was paid almost $7,000 on their electrical bill, which obviously is not correct. But I thought I'd have Mrs. Christy Gassman come up and do a little presentation, because I learned a lot that I didn't know about pivot tables, and just kind of explaining what should take place on a normal basis and how we apply a pivot table in finance on a regular basis.
First, I wanted to start by go ahead and show you what our electric bill looks like. These are, what I did was I just got the pages here of how it is separated out. Each one of these is what it appears. This is what our bill looks like. It's actually 4 pages of properties. And as you can see on the left-hand side, these are all the account numbers, along with the addresses, the description, and the amount of the bill. And I put every page up there. If you can go to the next slide, you'll see all of them. Now, the next slide shows the actual, the table that we enter each. This is the spreadsheet. And it's actually broken down by the account number, and it kind of follows along with the actual bill. So as you can see, it's the first number should be the account number at the top of the bill, along with the address. So when the accounts payable person was entering each one of these accounts and the amounts, they should be able to start at the top of the bill, the first page, first property, and enter each one of the amounts going along with the bill.
Christie, do the separate colors represent the various allocations?
Each color
Breaking
is
down
a
the bill.
department. Okay?
Okay.
So the first section on the left-hand side is the first page of the spreadsheet. So I apologize, I couldn't actually get everything as it goes. So if you actually start, this is as it goes. So this would be the, like, number 1, property number 1, all the way, this is property number 44. Here's property 45 to 88. If you could go to the next one, you'll see this is property 89, 32, and it goes on to 140. So there's 140 properties that we have. So it goes on, and that's how many properties are on the bill. So what happens is the person that's doing these entries, there's 140 properties on our bill, there's 140 properties on the spreadsheet. Now that's just the entry, and they have to enter the amounts according to what's on the bill.
Because all 140 properties, the amounts change every month.
Correct. But what's supposed to happen from this point on is that person was supposed to hand over once they entered this into this spreadsheet, then what's supposed to happen is the sorting of the department. Once the department is sorted, then it goes, next spreadsheet, then it looks like this. So once it's all sorted by department and amounts, you'll have it like this. This makes it so that the pivot table can actually, the pivot table has, has formulas in it. And then the formulas add up for each department. And as you can see, the museum would have added only these amounts for the museum to have paid only that amount of money and that would have been allocated for what the museum would have paid that month for May. But what happened was, when the accounts payable person entered everything, they forgot to tell the next person in line that they were ready for this to be sorted and for the pivot table to be refreshed. So
But the overall total for the billing period was still correct, right?
the overall total was correct, but again, like I said, the next person in line wasn't notified to sort the billing and for the pivot table to be refreshed so that the museum GL code was paying only this amount of money. Please, next table. So, next table. GL code museum would have paid $282.32. This is your pivot table, and this would have been the amounts. Each department would have paid a correct amount for what these little arrows show that there is a formula in there for that amount to be paid. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
I understand how pivot tables work.
I'm sure you do.
The biggest problem is that they don't get refreshed. That is problem number one.
Yes, I understand that.
Yes. And I just wanted to write this, I wrote this out. Pivot tables are good. Pivot tables are good to use. I don't mind pivot tables being used, but sometimes there's too much focus on trying to input the data without stepping back to see if there's an issue. And that you did cover also, I feel that there's not a second pair of eyes looking at this. That should be going to 2 people that I'm aware of, possibly even 3 people that should be looking at this data before it's given out to us. And with that data coming out and the museum being paid, having to pay $8,000, I understand the departments and everything, you have numerous, you have 140 entries, 143 properties
Yes.
that need to be entered. The thing is that we're getting a bill for the museum for $8,000. How can we figure that, look at that, budget that, when we're having them kind of amounts come in? I understand you're trying to reach the total amount. We're better off getting just one paper with telling us what the total amount for the electric bill is for that month, instead of getting something like this that's showing that some of these entities, utilities, are not utilities, entities, properties are paying $6,000, $7,000, $8,000.
Okay, what you're saying is that you're saying that we should get one electric bill for the whole city instead of getting
Well, that's-
let me make sure I'm understanding. So I gotta repeat what you're saying to make sure I'm understanding. So are you saying that we should get one utility bill to the city that would be one big bill that would encompass all the properties?
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, okay.
What I'm saying is, with us getting the data that we are getting now from the pivot table, we're basically, would be better off getting one bill, just showing us the total amount, because these are not being broken down properly.
What I think Ed might be able to do in the case of last month, when an error like that does occur, which is, I don't think too often, we can do a journal entry so we don't blow out the museum's budget for that, you know.
And that's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Because it's been this way. Like I said, numerous eyes should be looking at this.
Yes, and I'll take
Before this-
responsibility because
Thank you.
I try to look at the
Thank you.
expense report before you guys see it. I look at it as soon as it comes out, before you get your packets. And, you know, I did not catch that on the bill. The overall amount was correct, but, and
No,
not out of whack.
I agree.
May I speak? Yes, ma'am. The other suggestion is that there were 2 people that were involved in this process. Now there's only one, and that one person is doing both now. They're entering, but they're also doing the sorting.
Well, we can have another set of eyes. check that.
But the second set of eyes is the person who checks the bill, checks the entry. There is a second pair of eyes that does look at it.
Okay, can I say something? I would feel more comfortable because we disperse funds to the organizations if they weren't part of the pivot table and we knew exactly what their utility bills were. Because say we give them $40,000 a year, but this one's using $8,000 worth of utilities, this one's using $2,000 worth of utilities, that doesn't make sense to give them 40
So we could
each.
do a run of departments' utility bills fiscal year to date or calendar year to date to
Yeah.
see who's out of whack.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do that.
because they just,
Sure. Like, for
It's
instance, the
not fair.
Tri-Harris using too much energy type of thing, back like it used to.
Yeah, see, there's 4 different groups in there, divide the bill by 4. Denton building, half it between the court and the chamber. You know what I
Code
mean?
enforcement.
Or triple, 2 by 3, whatever you need to do. That way we have a more,
Christie, do we use the pivot table with any other kind of bill payments that you know of?
This is the bill payment that I found, and this has been a table that, I hate to say this, that the city's been using for years.
but he's saying
It's going on since
only on the
Gary's
electric
been
bill,
here.
or
but
do
is
you do
only
it on
for this Lee County Electric, or do we use it for
gas or
anybody
anything
else?
else?
This is the one.
This is-
This is the Lee County Electric, and it's been used since Gary was here.
So we
So this is what I'm kind of surprised about is that it's just.
We
not
use it
coming
for
up.
the gas bill and
What
for,
about, like,
it's just, they're
the
just
internet?
that
smaller.
was my question.
Lico,
We use it for gas, for Lico, they're just a lot smaller, there's not this many properties,
okay.
so they don't get messed up as easy.
So we'll put some safeguards in place so there's more eyes looking at
But
it.
I would definitely take the organizations out of the pivot.
There's another thing too, is this is the Tyler that we enter everything into. Whoever entered this into our Tyler system left out 2 properties.
How much training have you given them, David, on this?
I mean, this has been in place, as Christie says, since before anybody was here. So it's just,
Have you given any training to any of the personnel or not?
myself personally, no, I have not. As I said, I've just been learning about the pivot table myself.
Okay,
It's been
So-
unique to the
We do
finance
have
department.
options. We do have
okay.
options. Tyler.
So let me ask a question, because I'm stupid when it comes to this. I've never seen this garbage before in my entire life. This makes absolutely no sense to me at all, because I'm the simplest here. Because to me, it seems like that should have, every one of these codes should have been tied to an organization and simplified to a degree that that person knew that this code went with this group of people. I don't know about a pivot table, but that doesn't bring to mind very good visual images. So,
Like street should get all the street lights. Water should get all the water.
yeah, street goes with street, water goes with water, you know, simplicity
Yes.
seems to
Streetlights
work.
do go with streetlights, and water does go with water, and that's.
Because to me, when you say pivot table, it's like, we're gonna grab the edge of the table and we're gonna share it with everybody, so
Okay, how about
that's,
this? The table condenses all of those tables that you saw, condenses it to this.
okay, so basically that table reorganizes and puts
Puts it with
each
every
one of these
department.
individual properties into a department.
That's what this is.
Okay.
It just
Right.
allocates it.
Okay, just the word was confusing
Yeah.
the living
Just
dog.
forget the
That's-
word pivot, and
averages,
this is the
So that
table.
one smaller department doesn't get hit with the big bill.
It should never get hit
It
with a
should
big
be,
bill.
it should be based on
Yes.
actual usage.
It would
And
just be
had,
a-
It
and had,
it doesn't.
and had
Averages.
in May, after the accounts payable person had entered all of the numbers, and then told the person who knew how to sort it and refresh the table to do that, then you would have gotten the correct numbers. But that did not happen.
And pivot tables they're fine, it's just, they need to be refreshed, the data needs to be incorporated properly, the right data needs to be put in, needs to be updated. I mean, there's numerous things, they are good, but we don't want to be having, like I said, the museum hit with an $8,000 bill.
Right, it makes no sense to me because you
It was
only
a
have
lack
4.
of communication between the person who entered the
Yeah.
information to the person who was supposed to sort it and refresh it.
So if it had the actual number, Museum 237 right here, and I went in here and I found the address for the museum, would it be 237?
No, because the museum
Because there's 3
has
different.
3 different
But
properties
if I pulled
that's
those
added.
3 and added them together, would I get 237?
Yes.
Or is it gonna average it in that
Theoretically.
group?
No,
Would you back it
theoretically, it
up
should add up.
to the last table, what is that? Go back up one more.
The,
Add 144,
Those are all the meters of the property.
$54.83, $43 and $40. And those numbers should add up to that number.
I mean, we could ask the new finance team when they come in a month.
But-
I'm just thinking out loud, the only alternative I could think of is charge no departments, no utility line item, have one line item for the entire city electric bill, and we don't budget it by department, we just budget it out of that every month.
And that's what I,
It's, you know, as long as it's not gonna, well, we have to track departmental usage though as well.
we need to, but
Right.
I'm just saying until we have people that are familiar with this, and we can get some training that.
Cons,
Right, because I'm just looking at it, and it just wasn't the museum, there were numerous ones, the fire department, police department, I know we've looked at other ones that were off also.
Right.
So, and I said, I just want to make sure that we got the correct data going to the
Correct department, so they
correct
don't get their
departments.
budgets blown out of the.
Yes, sir, that's what I'm.
Yeah, I mean, this is, in this instance, it was kind of like in a plane crash, this was human error. The pivot table wasn't wrong, but it just was a human error type of chain of events, so.
I think internal audits need to be happening more often. I think that's the end result.
Yes.
I mean, either the head of the finance department or deputy treasurer, somebody needs to audit at least, every 90 days, to make sure they're on
I
track.
take responsibility, the last set of eyes that saw it before you did was me, so I should have caught it.
I had one question on, just one entire question. So, like the theater, are we paying their electric bill? It's on the bills right here.
I think we are, yes, sir. It's
So
a
that's
city
part
building.
of our contract with them to pay. Yes, ma'am.
We pay the electric bill.
So if you're paying the electric bill, the bill's on here as
We
well.
don't do water, but we do electric.
Okay, because the bill
It's
is,
on the electric bill.
It's on the electric bill. We get it two every month.
And we'll check the PSA as well.
Can you
because
bring
it's
it to
gonna-
him tomorrow or something?
Yeah, I can.
yeah, make sure they're not double dipping on us. 'Cause-
Do you think they pay gold?
God hasn't hit me yet, so I guess I'm all right. I'm ready. But, yeah, so I guess also the Troy Harris, we also pay for the electric bill for all, and
But
one
it
thing,
specifies in the PSAs with all those agencies, if there's unusually high energy usage, we can make them pay that portion.
and then one on that note, also, can you tell them about, take care of their landscaping up front? I think that ought to at least be, at least let them, if we're paying for everything, at least they can handle the landscape.
Okay.
Because there's a bunch of weeds already growing up.
There's the water on there, because some of them trees look like they're not.
Yeah, it kind of looked poor Saturday or Friday when I drove by.
Troy Harris.
And I figured maybe they could at least do that for us.
Well, the Troy Harris area, but also
That
the
addition
park,
does not work out front of that old building.
the park there on Main Street too. Right there by the
Actually,
museum.
Fran Ashley.
The Fran Ashley,
Right.
Main Street
Yeah.
takes care of that, Fran Ashley Park.
Is the water under that or not?
I do not know, it was cut off during construction.
Right.
Constructors was taking water trucks, but they said once that they released that and got with Chuck, so I don't know.
Is your water working for Fran Ashley?
I'm not sure. I asked Chuck about it, I think last week, but I don't, he hasn't gotten back to me.
And I will add, when we had to get a new AC unit for the roof, which is about $16,000, they all chipped in, 1/3 the city, 1/3 chamber, not chamber, Main Street, and EDC. Thank you. So,
Is there any
taken care
fur-
of.
Okay. Is there any further discussion by the board?
God, no.
Okay. Enough. City manager?
Commissioners, I'll say one thing about our department heads. They're always looking at new angles and a way to save the city money and get better services, better vendors, whether it's insurance, whether it's Robert, Police Chief Joe, Police Chief Skip, Bernardo. And this is one, kind of like the leases with the police units. Robert and Chief Joe came to me about a month or two ago, and they had an idea for uniform options for city employees. And Patrick Alexander of First Service here, and he's going to present, and I think, Joe, you've tried it out already. It's not only uniforms, but it's cleaning supplies and other stuff in a way to get perhaps better service and at a better price.
This is a copy of the presentation itself, just for you asking.
That's on this one.
Yes. So, yeah, Robert reached out to me about providing a service for you guys, and really, overall, it makes a lot of sense for you guys being able to look at the park, right? A lot of times right now, if you walk by a city employee, you won't know it unless they have a shirt from 15 years ago on. And that's one thing that you shouldn't have as a city. Go ahead and click to the next slide. So this was kind of the idea of where it started, okay? We're not going to do an emblem itself. We're going to do direct embroider on everything. Why are we going to do direct embroider? Because we're adding insurance programs into these no matter what. So it only makes sense to direct embroider them because they'll look better. So it will be the logo that you see there, but it'll be direct embroidered on the shirt. Now, there's other options we can do. We can do it by department colors. We can do departments in different colors. We can do different colors for every day of the week. But the key is to make sure that everybody looks the same and has the same, everybody notices the city employees, right? And then we launder those as well. We come pick those up once a week. We take them back to the shop. We clean them and then send them back out after being pressed, which a lot of guys here could probably stand to handle the pressing. Go ahead. So these are the different logos, and you'll see the one in the middle there will be just the general logo on a normal shirt, okay? The one up top, the reason we did that is because if we do a royal blue shirt, you will not see it unless we put the black piping around there. It's still consistent with what the city's logo is, but it has the black piping around it. So again, really the question becomes, what are you going to do? All one color? Or are you going to do colors? And Robert, you want to speak on this as far as departments picking their own colors or multiple colors for?
It just depends on what you guys let us do on that stuff. But it'd be nice to have each department with the, green for wastewater, blue for water, whatever they are on that part. You can always get departments, every color that wastewater does now, different colors every day of the week, or, anything like that. The bottom line is on this part, I think we'll wind up saving the city like $5,000, almost $6,000 a year.
I'll show those numbers here.
So what happens if you're cross-trained? Are you going to have a different color shirt for
Well, and
person going 3-4 days a week?
And that's the whole thing. If we just go with, one color with everything, it'll be the same thing. I mean, as long as we just say City of Lovington, but maybe not in the water or wastewater or whatever, just that way it's all City of
I know that we've talked before, the cross-training, people going from parks, going to water, going to cemetery and stuff, so that's all I'm just asking.
And that's, I just like, if we just put the City of Lovington logo instead of each department, it'll kind of just, it doesn't really matter where you're at. Everybody's got the same logo, City of Lovington logo. Yes, sir.
And then you find out, do they want to wear the same color every day? I mean, that's the question, right? And it's up to you guys. What do you want? Do you want them all in royal blue every day? Do you want them in white every day? Do you want them in black every day? Or do you want them to have different colors, and then we have consistency on the logo itself? That way they can still look like they're part of the city, but have different colors, that they're not wearing the same color every day, all day.
And is it only short sleeve shirt?
No, we have long sleeve as well.
And as Patrick mentioned, I think you give out, there's 9 per employee, right?
That's correct.
And not only that, so they have basically a 2-week supply. The company will come to each location and pick up the used uniforms and drop off the new ones. So wastewater treatment plant, the water department, the street department, city hall, police, fire, whichever departments pick up the service.
Plus, on the other thing, we go through shirts, at water and wastewater with chemicals all over them all the time. And if this thing, they'll replace your shirts or pants, whatever, if they get damaged, and it was the cost. Which is, sometimes we've got some of the guys going around with spotted shirts, they're like tie-dye shirts, and, this way they're replaced and not at no extra cost.
And
You've just had them so long they're threadbare.
And we'll press them for you.
Well, if they tear too.
Really important.
Yeah, it is.
Waste not going home to get washed.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
and there's a safety concern to it, right? OSHA would have a field day with that, I'm just letting y'all know.
Contaminants will be dead.
Yeah. So,
I'm currently, because I've got with Patrick, I currently went in and got some of his cleaning supplies because they're about half the price, maybe more than the current vendor that we're using. And then next fiscal year, we'll do the rugs in front of all the doors. We systematically, a lot cleaner for the rugs.
Yeah, because the rugs I bought, we have to clean them ourselves.
Yeah.
They're, because we just had, there's no service. I didn't know. I would have got those.
Sure. No problem to replace those.
I'd like to get a cost comparison on who we have right now and first.
Currently, we have no
We don't have
service.
Okay.
We'll go through the clothing in just a second on the difference in pricing of what you budgeted and what we
The
provide.
fire department uses UniFirst for all of our sheets, blankets, all the stuff for our cots, all that stuff already.
You happy with?
So one other option we have that we talked about was not necessarily high vis, right? You don't want everybody running around with bright yellow shirts. The city of Hawes did that. I don't know why, but they wanted to do that. So these are actually like an enhanced vis, another option for you guys, for anybody that's by the roadways. It's going to help because it has a piping down it that's reflective. Anybody that's by the roadways, I don't know how much the state's coming down on that yet, but I do anticipate it's going to come up some. You did. You should have the in front of you. Go didn't come across right. Oh, it is there.
It's really light.
Wow. Okay, good. I've got it in front of me too. So for the 0636, that's the shirt we had. There is zero cost difference between the short sleeve and the long sleeve, so we went ahead and ran everything on the short sleeve. That shirt is 35 cents each. This is the street department itself. And this was based on our very first meeting. I didn't want to make adjustments after meeting and going, okay, we went up in employees here, down in here, because that'll happen all day, every day. What I can tell you is that off of the budget that you had last year, your budget was $5,000. That's what you budgeted for uniforms in the street department. That's a total inventory of 54. That's 9 uniforms for 6 people. That's $18.90 for shirts. And then for the pants, which is right below that, and that is a jean itself. It's a heavy duty jean. Those are 29 cents a piece. So your total weekly spend is $36.01. The insurance program itself, which is extremely important that we add to this, especially for your wastewater department, is $14.04 a week. And what that comes out to per person is $10.44 per person per week. What your total spend on this program would be is $2602.60, which would save you about $3,400 on this department by itself. Now, not everyone's the same because you guys don't allot the same amount for each employee in different departments. And I'll show you there's some that we go backwards on, and it's straightforward. My price is going to be my price. I'm not going to change that, right? It's straightforward to each department. There is no playing games with it. So go ahead and click to the next one. So wastewater, again, that one is pretty much the same on my side because it had the same number of employees, except you guys had a bigger budget for it because you were spending more money replacing shirts. Mine's still my price, $2602.60. So you're over, well, right at $4,000 in savings on that department by itself. The cemetery, this one we go backwards a little bit. Again, I'm not sure what goes into you guys budgeting for it, but I can tell you what my price is. It's the same across the board. Nothing changes there. $1,263.60. We replace those. There's no cost to you guys. And then Parks and Rec, we went backwards a little bit on that one. Again, not sure what the budgeting difference is on you guys' side, but it's $600 more on my side. I made that up in the first 2 departments pretty quickly.
Well, to your point, just because we budgeted $2,000.
That's not what you spent.
It's
Sure,
not what we
sure,
spent.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So go
Well,
ahead.
like, we don't have that many shirts in my department.
Right.
I don't have them, and I
Right.
don't get them cleaned, and I don't get them
Correct. And you're not, right.
stained.
You're not comparing an apple to an apple already, right? It's a full service, and that's what we do. Go ahead and click that next one. So your current spend in those 5 departments, or budgeted spend, is $17,500. With these 5 departments, mine is $12,500.
And better looking staff.
Much better looking sets. And we can keep them looking better because you have 9 shirts rotating instead of 3 or 4. And these are, I mean, you guys can read through these. I can read the slides to you. I can tell you why to use me because you're going to look better for longer. We do this for a living. This is what we do. We do uniforms. We know what we're doing. We replace buttons as needed. We replace clothing as needed. You know, we own about 65% of the market in this area. And with the oil field up and down, now you know why we do it. Because we do it the right way and we communicate with people and talk to them. And if you have issues, we're right up the road. Nobody else is.
We usually guys have hospitals and it's consistently quality work.
So just to inform the commission, let them know what we're looking at. The chief and Robert are kind of testing it out a little bit, but if the commissioners have any input, positive, negative, happy to hear it.
So here's my input. I think 9's not enough because you got guys that work on the weekends. You're going to end up with 11. Long sleeve's going to be better because it's hot outside. We don't want anybody with skin cancer. I like the fact that we're looking out for the people that, at home. We got wives and children. They don't need to. We deal with enough stuff that's questionable on a daily basis, so we don't need to be taking that home to our loved ones. The cost, yeah, it's just what it is, unfortunately. What was the other thing? The other reason for the more excess is because, like you said, you've got to replace buttons, different things like that, and those guys will always be short. I don't care how good he says he is. One of his guys is going to screw up, they're going to be short, so you need a couple extra. Sure. Just because, I mean, I've been wearing a uniform for longer than I care to say. God, that's a long time. So, yeah, you're always, it's just one of the inevitable things. So if you're a 9, somebody's going to be short, or they're taking it home, washing it, and other things like that. So,
and I'm glad you brought that up because so many times in the past it's been a blame game, right? Between you and the uniform company as a business and the uniform company. One of the reasons we went to the insurance program is because now it doesn't matter. That's why we went to it. And we're the only ones that cover 100% of insurance, no matter what. If you have the insurance program, it covers 100% of replacement. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Whether somebody grabbed it and took it or not, or we lost it.
Right. Well, I mean, my uniform people, they never grab my jeans out of the back of my truck, and it just pisses me off. It's like, really? They've been there for the last 6 years. You haven't figured that out yet? Jeez, you walk by to give me the invoice, grab them out. But, so, yeah, I see those disadvantages to it. I prefer the long sleeve just because, luckily we don't have to wear FRs, so those guys, it's still measurable, but I think that would be my suggestions. Other than that, I prefer all one color just because I'm simplistic again, because I don't know what a pivot chart is. So,
So you can't pivot on colors.
yeah, I'm
We need
taking
pink jackets.
issues. Oh, God, no.
I'll work on that.
And then, but yeah, so it just, the high-vis thing, like you said, I don't think they need that yet, but I think we have the access to the little slip-ons, different things like that, that's really important for the street guys and different things that are working in places that we probably need to focus on a little more, because you're doing a great job. We've had this discussion before, and but I mean, your hands are just like my hands. They forget really easy. Usually first thing in the morning until they go home at night. Yeah, so those were my suggestions right there. So,
any color in particular?
Blue. Not the dark blue, but the light blue. It seems to cover grease well. The tan is horrific. You never get that stuff out. Depending on what most of those guys are doing, oil, grease, different things like that. I think that's going to have your best overall life. The darker colors and the heat just drains it out of you. But those are just my personal experiences. So these guys have.
Well, then it would also depend on the department, because like fire department, your rank depends on your color of firefighter. A rookie firefighter is in a baby blue.
Yeah, but see, we don't have, I've never worked where.
I know, I'm just saying, so each department technically would.
Right, yeah, make the guys, all my guys are the same color just for simplicity. That way, because, everybody wears the same color hard hat, everybody has the same amount of experience.
Pink one.
One, yeah, so, like I said, the cost isn't any different. I mean, it just makes it harder to try to keep up with, you know. Although a different color would be nice to know that Jorge over there is wearing my shirt again.
Right.
Why is your name off of there? Because you wouldn't have my shirt then. You just ripped my tag off again, then you.
And that's one reason we're going direct embroidery too. It's a lot harder to pick out.
Pick the name off?
Yeah.
Scubble.
Will this have to be put up for a bid?
What is the
At that
annual cost? It depends on how many departments.
It's under $60,000.
Well, it should be still put out to bid, I would believe.
Over 20.
Over 60,000.
Well, at this point, we're still in the trial stage. I'd like to kind of leave it up to each department head.
Right.
So once we get a tally on how many people, departments are interested, we can add up the cost of the contract. If it's over 20, we'll have to get another couple bids. If it's over 60, it would be an RFP.
Correct.
But right now, the chief is just the only one, I think. I don't know, Robert, have you gotten any?
No, we haven't at this point, but I think we were all the same.
I think so far the chief has just ordered some cleaning supplies, so it's just it's early on in the game,
Right.
so, yeah.
And I can say that I can speak for UniFirst, we have UniFirst. So I like the quality of the product. Not trying to push it, but I'm saying I have nothing wrong with it, so I'm just trying to do things right, that's all.
Yes, the procurement code.
And like I said, we use them for our linens and stuff, but as far as like uniforms, we've met with them and it's not cost effective for us. That's the thing, with as many employees as we have and patches and all that, it's just not cost effective.
All right, the only thing I had was just make sure Veronica gets a uniform agreement with all the employees who does that, because if they lose their uniforms, we fork up the bill, and that will get taken out of their check. If they-
So,
they use it.
we do our.
I'll make it a part of their
Insurance.
package.
Or how does that-
We don't need it.
Okay.
With the insurance programs, we cover 100% whether they turn them back in or not.
Well, it would get excessive with.
Yeah, it would be.
No, no,
I think,
I'll
yeah.
make it part of the.
Sure.
Especially at one day hired, and then all of a sudden he quits tomorrow.
You can just add it to the city cell phone and all the other equipment
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, because I don't want people walking around with our uniforms and working
I'm
for
working on an
Gandhi or
actual new hire form that's gonna do cell
It's not
phone.
that far, you can't.
Oh, okay.
So we'd like to make a suggestion that to get our stuff back and to limit some of your costs also, we actually do you work for so many days and then we actually pull out a portion that we
Of the
have
check.
of your check and we hold that for however many decades you work for me
As a deposit.
as a deposit, and that works out really well for us. That way we get our stuff back.
In the past, I've done a deposit and I've held it for 1 year, and then after a year, if they're still there, then they get it back. If they leave prior to, then
No,
they leave it.
we hold it for.
So you retire?
Yeah, or to get deported, whichever it is.
Hold on to it.
What was that?
All right,
That's what I'm doing.
we appreciate your presentation.
Thank you, Pat.
Moving forward, city manager.
This one's gonna be Crystal.
Okay, Crystal, I'm sorry.
All right, so we have a lease agreement I got from MRC Permian Oil and Gas. This lease agreement, I think you guys have it in your packet.
Yes.
I did give it to the attorney to review, and what he wanted me to do was just bring it to you guys to see if you're willing for him to go into negotiations with this company before we come in with an actual agreement for you guys to sign. This is not for something for you to sign tonight. And he did mention that since this has to do with the land that's under Chaparral Park and the wastewater treatment plant, we also want to put in some type of negotiation with them that they have to directional drill from out in our well-filled area, not in the park itself. We don't want a big pad, and we don't want that damage done to our park when we're just trying to get it back into shape. And they can directional drill. So we don't want we want to make sure that they're aware our terms would be that there would be no direct drilling on top of those properties, the Chaparral Park or the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, horizontal drilling is what they're.
Yeah.
Horizontal.
Directional drilling. And also we want to negotiate with them about exactly where, because really the Chaparral Park and the wastewater treatment plant, That's not the whole acreage they're saying, but that's the description they gave. So they're saying 160 acres, but that's only about 85 and 90% of those acres. So I'm looking, I want them to give me a better description. So that's something else me and Patrick will negotiate with them to give us better description so you guys will know exactly where this lease is coming from. As long as you guys would give us the direction for Patrick and me to go ahead and pursue the agreements with them.
Doesn't hurt because we had an agreement. So it doesn't hurt. Any questions from
And
the
that's
board?
really all I have.
No, I just, my personal opinion is when you're doing horizontal fracking, things open up in that, and if you're doing it in the Chaparral Park, is there a possible contamination of the water? Once it's contaminated, it's contaminated. And that's stuff that we need to think about, making the decisions like that, yeah.
Well, and that's why I wanted a better description too, because
Right.
is it under our lake? I mean,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That could be an issue.
And I understand it might be 8,000 feet under the ground, but, we don't know the way crevices and everything open up and that. And I said for the, let's say, to me, if our lake gets contaminated, that's a small amount of money that we'd be getting for contamination.
Correct.
So,
Losing our fishing and everything.
and I know that's, a lot of people go out there and do that, and I'd read.
And we want to keep our park enjoyable. Yes.
That's
I agree.
just my opinion, so.
Any other questions from the board? If there are no further questions, moving on to public hearing. Shannon?
Well, it's actually more crystal than me, but this is ordinance 611, which is changing the zone at 300 Blockings Avenue K, Tract 1A, from commercial to industrial zone. And we talked about that a couple of meetings ago. And just wondered if there's any public comment on that subject. See, the owners are here. Did y'all have anything you wanted to say? Okay. I think we've already discussed it.
Commissioners, Patrick could not be here tonight, but I did speak with him about this today, and he just wanted to caution the commissioners that to consider this carefully because, we have to, as he put it, oil goes to $45 a barrel, while the plan is now to make this truck yard or oil service company, you make it into an industrial zone, it opens it up to a whole new bunch of categories of types of industry and chemicals, and we put before you the specifications of commercial versus industrial. So, as he phrased it, you could be opening up a can of worms, and is this really what we want? It's close to residences. Again, nothing against the gentlemen who are here. Maybe their business would be a good one, but we can't guarantee that they're going to be there in the future. And that's from Patrick.
Yeah, that's always been my argument too with the trucking. Trucking used to be always commercial, and then, but when you start pushing trucking into commercial to industrial, then you're adding everything else above that. You got water haulers, but before it was just commercial. We were all familiar with them just being water haulers, and that was it. But not petroleum or nothing like that. That was considered industrial. And now we moved trucking into industrial in these years just behind us. And it's just like some of these yards right here off Erlacher. When you say industrial, that means they could put a refinery plant right there. If we put industrial, that means they've got the cost. And that's what Patrick's outline is, that if they get it as industrial, they buy it as industrial, and then they hand it off to somebody else. But let's say you sell it. Let's just say for some reason you could sell it to a refinery plant. They come in there and put a refinery plant right there because it's industrial.
Is that realistic? I feel like.
Well, no, but hang on one second. And again, nothing against you, but some of the fields of industry that it would open up the possibility for, and this is in the ordinance, are acid manufacturer, explosives manufacturer or storage, fertilizer manufacturer, garbage dumping, glue manufacturer, smelting of tin, copper, zinc, or iron ores, and stockyards or slaughter of animals. And that's the difference between industrial and commercial.
And that's my question. What are you doing with your business that commercial can't accommodate? Why?
It don't matter how it goes. I just want to be able to put my yard there, but I was told that we couldn't put it there because it needed to be industrial.
Why can't he put his trucks on commercial?
He can. I was told code enforcement wanted to start moving the water haulers and everything out of commercial, and she wanted to change that zone, so it would not be allowed for all those water haulers to be in our commercial zone. So I was just trying, rather than him start a new business and have water haulers there, which is allowed by code right now, he can put that in there. So what we're trying to do is just get ahead of the game, because code enforcement had said she wanted to have that changed. And we didn't want him to put a brand new business in and then have to turn around and move it, because she changes what we can do in commercial.
But that opens up so many things
Yes, it
when
does.
we go to industrial, and that's
Yeah,
a residential area.
That's what was worried me also on Erlac, when they were requesting industrial there. I said, man, somebody could put a
I
refining
just
plant
think
right
that
there.
the commercial needs to have more oversight, so we're not washing and changing oil in the street and putting all that chemical into our sewer system, and our guys are dealing with it, and it's breaking things, and kids are playing in the gutter that has that, and
So beef up our commercial ordinances.
maybe, yeah,
Just watch
and
over 'em.
and watch
Or add
over
literature
them.
to our current commercial,
You know, Let
Well,
people
that's why
know.
we just didn't want to be zoned out, because it is commercial now, where it's at.
Right.
He can do what he's asking to do.
You know,
We were just trying to foresee
Could
that
say,
if
like-
I just
things
don't want to get
change.
kicked out of there
right.
10 years from now,
Exactly.
right?
And say like Eddy Street, if they're out there washing out a truck and spraying oil everywhere and all that, and someone calls it in, they need to be written up right there on the spot.
Yes.
That's not commercial, you know,
Like,
so,
how Crystal was saying.
so I'm saying more enforcement.
Yeah. We're having all these trucks, whether it's water trucks, diesel trucks, any type of liquid chemicals, they're moving into our city. They're moving into the city, whether it's commercial or industrial. That's why I was trying to get them more educated onto what is allowed in industrial and what is allowed in commercial. But as we can see, we have more and more companies coming in and applying for business licenses and moving in or into our
So
city.
for what you're asking, we're gonna have to go and address our ordinances because they're very
Yes.
vague. And we need like maybe like a Class B commercial or something, because we don't wanna open that area up to everything. And that trucking company moves out and then a copper smelter moves in, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I wasn't against it, but then I am. For the same reason that I didn't want more trucking companies moving into the city instead of outward.
And it's hard
Which
to
is-
take a commercial zone and make it residential because there are already established business in those areas.
And we have so many areas that are already residential areas and commercial areas.
Because
And
it was.
and they were there before the commercial trucks came in.
Right.
And typically, anything before we'll say 2000, let's just use 2000. Anything prior to 2000, people just knew that inside the city limits wasn't cool. And so it was a commercial area, so they didn't focus on that because commercial to them meant a business or a small organization or something like that.
Right.
We had a change of definition through different site. So now what they consider commercial, because we did not have it defined well enough, they're using as that. You're trying to minimize that. We're behind the 8 ball already here.
Yes.
So, you know,
Because in the
that,
past, it wasn't zoned the way it's supposed to have been zoned. I mean, how, or enforced, zoned and enforced.
enforcement would
You know,
be the
enforced
bigger
is
issue.
better, you know.
And it's hard to, when you do zoning, it's hard to foresee, you know,
You can't.
50 years down the road
Yeah.
and go, okay, we want this here, this here, this here, we're gonna develop it like this. Well, depending on, different things, it didn't grow the way that our forefathers thought it would. And
And our
so,
commercial area is very landlocked with residential.
yeah, and then we had other people come in about commercial, because you can build a residential. And again, it goes back to enforcement.
Yes.
So-
Just like we have water trucks that are used for water trucks, but at times they're used for hauling other chemicals.
Produced.
And then they rinse out the trucks, but you still have that chemical, what is it?
And that's what they
1%?
should not be doing on the property.
Right, yeah, I mean,
And
if-
it's that percentage that we don't look at and we overlook it, should I say, and, you know, that's
So
where it
can
all
we tag them and hold their license?
Yeah, it just can't be everywhere at once, that's the big.
Yeah, and you got these trucks that's in the middle of these residential areas, and the smell, we've got called numerous times on the smell.
The pollution.
And
I think it's kind of where we live though too. I mean, it's kind of part of where we.
that's their business.
well, it wasn't for the longest period of time, but in the last few years, we've had a huge mindset change and nobody follows the rules. Well, we have problems with our variances and other things. Ask for do what you're going to do and then ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. So we want to make sure that we do it right. We want to make sure that once you're in there, you're not going to have a problem like that. I did drive by there the other day. I saw some old tanks and stuff. Is that on your guys' property or is that?
No, that's on our property.
Okay, so at some point you're having we'll be removing that stuff?
Yes,
So,
correct, yeah. We've already started the process. We gotta get norm readers and get them all.
No.
Yeah, that was all left on there from previous owners.
Yeah, no, I realize it was. I just
Yes, sir.
was making sure that, I was just asking the question. We all have intentions sometimes,
No,
and
yes, sir.
sometimes intentions falls to the wayside, but,
Pulling permits and all.
yeah.
But one thing I would recommend is just us leaving that commercial, just leaving and just enforcing the commercial. And like Commissioner Liz said, if we have to have a commercial and a commercial B, adopt a commercial B outlining just a little bit hair over commercial, and that's a good idea as well.
And we need to go and maybe write some legislation about, the truck washing out and stuff like that, specifically address semi problems, because there's nothing in any of this about semis.
No.
And that way you can tag them and we can hold up their license or something, or,
Yeah.
there's gotta be a way to police that, and we just can't right now with what's written.
That was a perfect example, the one for Brian Arlocker. That property there, they were always spilling out, I guess, the Brian
Yes.
water.
Brine water, yeah.
And it was bad. I mean, it was every weekend. I could say Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
It was horrible.
Every week.
Yep.
Did the property owner understand? Well, after more than $10,000 worth of citations he did. But, it's just the property owners that way that you'll have to.
So how do I ensure that if I put my business here, that 10 years from now, someone don't try to come in and say, hey, sorry, you gotta go now?
If we get all the ducks in a row, probably.
Yeah, it won't happen.
Oh, okay.
That's why we're doing, if we approve this, it's in writing. A lot of these organizations prior to you, it was just, well, like Commissioner Gandy said before, we really didn't have a zoning ordinance till what, 2020 or something like that? We finally
Well, it's
adapted.
been around since the 70s, but it wasn't highly influenced or policed
Yeah.
until into the into 2000.
Yeah.
Till Laura Brock.
Well, I wanna say
Laura
that-
Brock started the enforcement.
Like in 1980 when we came up with
16
zoning.
years ago.
Yeah.
And then
so-
in 84, it
Yeah.
went to the wayside because of oil and gas. And then from 84 until 2000, had 16 years where we didn't really have any business growth in the community.
Yeah, with all-
And so when we got to 2000, we had a big spurt, and then it dipped again in 10, and then it circled back around because fracking went nuts. So everybody and their dog, it used to be everybody had a pulling unit and welder, now everybody's got a vacuum truck.
Yep. Or water truck.
Vacuum truck is a water truck, they're all the same.
Yeah.
But so that's what the deal was, and most people always stayed outside because they didn't want to be inside the city, and well, we just have a different group of individuals that's the property they could afford, that's the property it met the standard of commercial. Their ideal of commercial means a business, and so they used it, and we didn't have the correct wording or ability to enforce it to a degree, so we just,
Because I think we need to do almost like the RV parks, like a lot has to be able to accommodate so many semis per square feet or whatever, and then eliminate curbside parking.
Yep.
And things like that. We need to really go into depth on all of it.
has to have an entrance
has to have insurance first, and
Well,
I'm
that's
not
where, you know,
driving.
if they have a residence as the main structure on the lot, then they shouldn't have that business because you're only supposed to have one use on a lot. So even if you're in a commercial zone, if you put a home on that, you cannot turn around and use that home as a commercial business.
Right, it says you can have a person that takes care of the property, but not family.
So going back to your questions, this is your documentation.
So we're clear?
Yes.
Yeah, we just don't want to open up that.
No, that's
So basically, right now, it is commercial.
It
Yes.
is,
Yes.
yeah, so we're
Yes.
good. I mean, you're good.
That's why I was trying to figure out what
Open
he's
operating
wanting to
way it is
do
right
that he
now.
could.
Yeah, I only want to do this because, you know, me and Krista had talked.
Yeah.
I started bothering Miranda this morning.
Squirrels are running loose.
They were.
So when we
crazy.
deny, when it comes into action items, we're going to deny it, but you're still good with your commercial, still good with your business.
Yes.
Just want to make that clear right now.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
As long as you don't make a mess out there with water.
Don't be washing
Feed
it.
him, Laura. You're disgusting.
If you do, you're gonna have to build a washout bay, different things like that
Right.
you understand your business as well as any of it. So, yeah, that would be the only deal. Now, if you're gonna be like the guy that, like she said on her lacquer, we keep the valve open, call. And you're gonna have that guy that does that one day because he ain't paying attention. You're just gonna have to clean your mess up, make sure it's
Right.
reported properly and stuff like that, so.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, you want to close the public hearing?
Yes, go ahead.
Did you want to close the public hearing?
Just, we
Okay.
officially closed the public hearing at 7:08, 7:09.
Thank you, Shannon. Moving on to action item.
Questions?
Mr. Gandy.
You ready?
Yep.
Hang on, here we go. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion for ordinance 611, adopt 300 block East Avenue K, tract 1A from commercial to industrial zone.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Shannon?
Commissioner White,
No.
Commissioner Bolt,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
No.
Commissioner Gandy.
My favorite, no. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-038, approve fence encroachment at 603 South Love Water Yard.
Motion has been made and second. Crystal?
Yeah, so Mayor and Commissioners, we had the water yard installed a fence, or is in the process of installing a fence, and found out they were over the property lines. Reason, the fence needed to be redone just for safety and security of the water yard. They've had a lot of break-ins. That old chain link fence has been cut in many places. There's several gates that are on the backside, in the alley, the easy access for somebody to break that lock and go right in and steal their equipment. So they are going, with the new fence, there will only be the one main gate entrance, so that'll be easier to police. And of course, it'll be all metal, not going to be as easy for people to cut through as the chain link is. And the problem with it being in the easement was due to the placement of storage tanks and utilities underground in that area. It's all in the way. It's actually a lot of, that big, large storage water tank is already in the easement. It's already encroached. And then we have a sewer line that's just outside of where the existing old fence is. And then we have another gas line right beside that. So really, where they put the fence is kind of the only place they could put it. So it is encroaching the property lines on the Love Street side, which is the west side. 9 foot 4 inches on the south end, but 8 foot 8 inches on the north end of that. So we do ask for the 9 foot 4 inch encroachment on Love Street side. And then the south side of the property over onto Avenue G is encroaching 15.6 in one area and 16 foot at the other, so we're asking for the 16 foot encroachment. The backside along the alley and the north end of the property are within the property boundaries. They are not encroaching. So, yeah, this is You can see where the old fence is and where the new posts have been put in, right beside the cones. In between that old fence and the new fence is where there is a sewer line, and just outside of that fence, the new one is where there is a gas line, so they kind of put it in the only spot they could. So just to make this legal, we asked for the encroachment for the city water yard that they're fencing.
Any visual impairment?
No, we do the corner cuts at the corner where they comes in from the park. It comes in from the baseball parks there on Avenue G. Yeah, and they do have the 45-degree corner cuts on those corners, so that helps with the vision. And it is still over 9 foot off of the back of the curb. The fence is still that far off the back of the curb. Any other questions for me?
Any questions about the board? I let him think too long, he's gonna come up with something. Probably better speak up, he's thinking.
This is just showing the alley side, the south side. That goes on to the next.
At least you can get around that water tank now, that's a big thing.
Yeah, because there's one area you can't get around that water tank at all with the fence goes right up beside it, the old fence does.
Yeah.
There's no way to keep it clean and it's a mess back there. But this will give them a lot more room to take care of that.
Call for a vote.
You good?
No, I'm not happy about it.
Shannon.
I vote no on everybody in town. Do you think I'm voting yes on this? Jeez.
Well, I was hoping if I give you enough time, you give us a break. Yes, go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaines.
No, because I don't need the variant, even though it's our own. All right, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, let's move on with this. I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-031, approve street closure for smoking on the plaza.
Let's go 39.
39, yeah.
039.
Okay, whichever one it is, 039. Second.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
I just wanted to come, first of all, thank you for letting me speak. And I just wanted to come and give you guys a sort of layout for smoking on the plaza that is
Who are
this
you?
weekend. Joanna with Lovington Main Street.
Thank you.
Sorry. So to start off, we do have a bit of different closures and a bit of a different map this year than our previous years. Because last year we did have problems with the county. We did block the only handicap accessible entryway to the courthouse. So, and then we also had construction going on for the past couple of years. So this year we decided to actually bring it back onto Main Street. On the blue that you see right there, that is where I will have our vendors. The little red spot with the music notes, that's where I plan to put the stage. And then on Central, after 5 p.m. on Friday, I can shut that down. And for Saturday, I'm going to have a skating rink, a mechanical bull riding, a splatter room for free for the community. And then the beer garden will be going up Friday after 5 p.m. But for closing, what we want to do is on Central Avenue from Love Street going to East Street. We want to close that because we tend to have quite a bit of cookers. This year we're already at 23 and we don't know, we have a lot of people that just come up and sign up the last minute at the day of. So we want to be prepared for extra space. At the intersection of Love and Central, straight down to Avenue A, we do want to close that because we also have cookers placed there. On Central Avenue, if you go behind the stage, from First Street to Main Street, that's where we want to close off for the bands That's where we usually have to have a spot reserved for them to come and bring the buses so they can load in and load out. From Avenue A, on Avenue A, from First Street to Love Street, we want to as well close that out. That is where we will have more cookers as well. We tend to fill up that section, we tend to fill up the library parking lot, so we want to be prepared for all of that. And these closures we're proposing, or we're asking if they can be happening at 5 p.m. on Thursday. On Friday, May 30th, on Love Street, we want to do from Washington Avenue down to Central. And then on Central again, from Love Street going to Main Street. And that's the area where we would usually have the layout for smoking on the plaza. But that's just for the family activities on Saturday morning and afternoon. We're at 32 vendors, I believe, this year, which is the biggest that we've had in quite a few years. Last year we only did about 12. So it's looking to be pretty packed. And like I said, we're at 23 cookers and we have a lot going on the day for the Friday and Saturday.
Fire chief, are you good?
It's pretty much the same as every year, as long as we keep that intersection there at Avenue A and Love, so my trucks can get around. We can move trucks out of the old station and move them to the parking lot. We just have to make sure people know there is no parking in front of the fire departments. That's the biggest problem we have. When everything is down there, everybody wants to park right there in front of the fire department. They block the intersection, they park in front of our trucks, and we can't get out.
Okay.
So that's one thing they have to know, is they will be towed.
We close all the way down to B.
And that is something I can announce beforehand on our social media, and obviously be checking throughout both days to make sure that no one is parked there. But yeah, I'll be on that.
Well, be told anyway.
Yeah, because those are our only routes of access.
We just need to have a tow company there, and if they park there, I'm towing.
Now with Main Street, Joanna?
Yes.
You have to contact the state as far as closure?
Yeah.
And you got permission from them?
Yeah, it was a bit of a hassle because it's my first year and we didn't do like street closures with the state last year. So it was a learning curve for sure. And last minute it was like, you need a traffic control plan. I was like, well, what is that? You know, how do I get that? So we had to maneuver around some things, but yes, sir.
Okay,
Mhm.
good. I just wanted to make sure because that's a main
Yeah.
thoroughfare and that's the main one you want to definitely have beforehand.
Yes, sir.
So the street department gonna be able to put up detour signs and different things like that?
Yes,
Is it better to close down to B?
Say that again?
Is it better to close all the way down to B?
No, because my trucks have to be able to get
Well,
down.
I mean, you can just put 2 cones or whatever, make it look
So
close, but leave room for your
So what we
truck.
usually do is we put the cones usually at B so people can't go up in there, but
So
the.
the
Yeah.
problem is, like, usually what I will do is block here and here.
Mhm.
Because we still have, like she has the arrows, we have to be able to get our trucks out both directions.
Yes.
So we just bring our trucks that face this street, we bring them out and park them right here in our parking area. Our biggest problem is we have trucks facing each direction and then we have people that want to just pull up and park right in front. And that is where we have our big problem.
Right.
Maybe we can get the streets to put some no parking signs on
Oh,
past years.
we've put cones in
I think
front of
we have, huh?
everything,
Yeah,
we've
we've
put all
done
kinds of
everything.
stuff.
We've done everything.
People get out and move
Yeah.
them, or they just run right over them.
Just have Carrie Cheater on standby.
Yeah, carry
If
it.
they park in front of your truck,
Have
I'm
them pull up with a tow truck right there. No questions asked.
And that's this weekend, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's what I thought, Friday, Saturday.
I don't know if we have towaways on, but be a good sign.
Some of the roads will be closed at Thursday at 5.
Thursday night. So will Love Street be closed Thursday night at 5 going north as well? Or will that not close until Friday morning?
Love Street, Friday north. Yeah, Friday.
It will close Friday evening, not Thursday at 5.
Right, Love Street, May 30th at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just have to let my crews know, starting 5 o'clock Friday evening, they will be closed.
Okay. Is there any other questions by the board? No further questions? Shannon?
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo.
Yes. City manager?
Commissioners, the next two resolutions involve capital outlay funding for public safety projects. I don't know if the chiefs want to take it or Mrs. Bolt.
Let me make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That'd be
Mayor Pro Tem's in a hurry to get out, but he just got you jumping the gun there. So, just because I can't count doesn't mean you can jump forward.
It's those glasses.
Yeah, there you go.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-040, approve proposal for public safety building remodel.
Had a motion to second.
Now, we can hear from you.
I think,
We can let Ms. Bolt
Let's,
talk
Ms.
about
Bolt,
it.
please introduce yourself.
Ms. Bolt. No, Leslie Bolt. The first one is for the public safety building remodel. So that is the fire department side of the building and the police department side of the building. We went out for RFP for that. We had 2 proposals. We had a meeting where we had certain evaluations on what we were looking for. One was the references that were provided. We also looked at the time frame. We don't want any disruption with our public safety crew in there, so we had to take that into consideration. We also have this as a combined project for, to combine everything and be done with it. Like on the fire side, Chief Moorhead wanted, we're gonna epoxy paint the truck hall with the lines, striped lines, put in new lockers. Complete work. We had a public meeting and we had all the potential contractors, the one that were gonna come out. We did a walkthrough on everything that they were looking at getting done. On the police side, Chief Clark looked at, one of the things I thought was interesting is fixing the skylight that's been like that boarded up for years, and then completing the entire project. And they can speak on where the funding is coming up. We're going to utilize the rest of the grant funding, and then we discussed what the bids look like and from the committee and where the rest of the funding is. Like, you guys want to take that on where the funding is coming from?
So as far as the fire department, I can use state funds from the state fire fund for building maintenance and upgrades. So I will take my extras out of that fund. And with us going to a ISO of 3, I should get extra funding this year, so that will help us.
Questions on the board?
Yeah, with this, and this, I believe will probably be broken up
Yes, sir.
per se, how much you're having done in your department, the 82,000. It won't be split down the middle.
No, so I believe mine is going to come out to a total of 160? No,
I think it
I
was.
think it was like 160, and I still have almost 110,000 left out of this grant money, so that extra would come out of my state fire fund.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
This grant is, and we're good on the time frame and everything. If you guys approve it, what we'll do is we'll generate, of course, we always have to go to the state when it's the capital outlay grants and just make sure that they approve it. I'll send in the process, we'll have the contract, and we'll get the contractors, once you award, started as quickly as possible. And I believe the one that you're looking to award this evening put in his request for proposal 2 weeks after approval. He was ready to start and would complete the project within
90 days.
90 days. So, and that was for, this one was for Artisan Guild Construction.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Bull. Any further questions by the board?
So I guess we need to make a
Amendment.
Yes.
Right. So, let's see where I'm at here. Approve proposed public building remodel with the amendment for Artisans Guild.
Second.
Also made and second. Shannon,
I'm sorry,
roll call. No?
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-041. Approve, whatever that word is, for police department parking lot awning project.
Second.
Proposal
With them as the
with,
Motion was made and second.
wait.
Go ahead.
You're saying it's also with the same person?
Same construction company?
Yes.
As Artisans?
No.
it's not.
Okay.
So this we also put out, this is the awning project for the police department parking lot, which is, has been engineered, and that went out for RFP also. We had an additional RFP committee go through the two bids that we received, and after reviewing it and going by the evaluation matrix that we had, Chief Clark and the rest of the committee has determined that that would be the new construction. Also, this was another thing about getting completed in a timely manner, and that was part of the evaluation, was the how quickly they could get it done. They are going to have that project, again, completed within 90 days. Also, I believe the bid came in at $271,000 approximately. We are going to, I have requested to put the additional $21,000 that's needed for that project into the capital projects budget for FY26. So if you've looked at the interim budget that we're looking at to go into next year, that has a reflection of that $21,000 needed to finish that project.
So do we need to add a company?
That would be Renew Construction.
Okay, we'll have to make an amendment
Okay.
on the resolution 2025 to add Renew Construction as the contractor.
Second.
Okay, motion was made. Second, Shannon?
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, let's make a motion for resolution 2025-042, approve FY26 interim budget.
Second.
Motion was made and second, city manager?
Commissioners, Ed has put together this budget. This is merely a placeholder for DFA. If approved tonight, it would be submitted through Michael Steiner's help to DFA by June 2nd, which is the preliminary budget deadline. We would then revisit this in August, July, August, to make adjustments. Ed is available for questions by telephone. He's on standby. I'd like to thank Ms. Leslie Bolt for a lot of the work on the 301 capital projects page. It's broken out by project, so it's a little bit more understandable. I also mentioned to Ed that some of the commissioners like to have an idea in terms of the general fund, what we based our budget on in terms of monthly GRT. On the second page under taxes, state shared GRT, taxes, local GRT, you see two $4 million numbers. If added together and divided by 12, and this may not be the correct way to do it, but this is the way I think it's appropriate. That comes out to a monthly GRT of $763,000. So. And Ed feels confident that this would be acceptable to DFA, and then we can just change it as necessary. And Michael Steininger he will help us accomplish that.
I found a couple things on here, David. I'm just going to bring one of them up because I understand this is just an interim budget, and once it goes through, that we will be making adjustments. On your fund number 23,600 for the Lee County Animal Control Fund, you have beginning cash available, $1,800,000. That's what we have in that account for the Lee County Animal Control Fund?
Isn't that all
That,
outlays?
I'm sorry?
No? Okay, I read it. I just assumed it was like her outlay and her
It
county
includes
funds.
a lot of the county funds. the
That's what I was
grants.
going to do.
I think it's in the wrong department.
Yeah, because I think we have 750,000 in county funds available currently.
So capital projects fund is the Fund 301
Right.
is that I worked on. And we have, I believe it's 1/8 tax that's going into that fund per year, which works out to about the 1.2 million. And then the rest I put in was the grant secured. So if you look at the animal control line in that, her project for the modular shelters is coming out at $850,000, which includes the $700,000 from the county, plus a grant reauthorization of close to $80,000 to $85,000. And guess what? We still don't have enough to complete the project, so we have to take out from our tax that's going into that capital project money, which I added to finish that project. So
Does that
it doesn't
include the
have-
money she just got last meeting?
The 200?
That's included in the project budget in 301. So that 1.8 million is not, it shouldn't be in that fund. It's not part of an animal control project.
So where should that be?
I think it's housing.
That's the money for our,
It sounds
the
like
county
the
gave us for
amount.
the housing?
Yeah, right, they've given us 1.8 million
Yeah,
to
I
date.
think it's in. it
So-
should be in
And there's
housing.
another 900,000 coming.
Right, so does this need to be changed
Yes,
before
sir.
we?
Yes, because the housing authority incentive, that should
Correct.
have its own separate line item.
Own separate?
So we need to table it?
No, you can make
Or
the
you're just
adjustment.
gonna
You
make
can
an
make the adjustment. Yeah, with
We
adjustment.
can make the adjustment.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty.
And I said with the understanding that this is an interim budget.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
will
we
make
still-
budget adjustments.
It's
So,
a
Yeah.
living
Yeah, and we have all of next week as well.
right, but I said that stuck out big time.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, they've been good.
Okay.
safety.
We got a motion and a second. Shannon?
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes,
Commissioner White.
Yes.
The last ones.
The last one,
Last one's on the deal.
that you'd like to make a motion to pay the bills?
I'll pay the bills.
a second.
Motion was made and second. City manager.
Yes, sir.
One thing, I know it's a little ways out, but before, when it starts to get on the ground and running, I'd like to see a GRT, like a real GRT, with only the revenues that we're receiving from gross receipts. All of the last 2 years at least, are pretty much that. Because we keep saying we have X amount of money, but I just want to see what is only GRT, is what I'm saying. Because sometimes we could say, well, last year in GRT, our general fund was $10 million. In reality, we only received X amount. What I'm getting at is because the state took $400,000. The next month, we're in a deficit of $30,000. So we're $430,000 in the deficit of our GRT. And then what I'm trying to figure out is where our number really stands without all this extra money coming in from the county and so forth. I'd like to see what our true GRT number is and where we stand financially with our GRT number.
You want to do what the GRT has been above where we budget, let's say we budgeted $800,000 a month for general fund off GRTs.
Yes, sir.
Let's say they keep coming in at $900,000. You want to know what the surplus or deficit is.
There you go, there you go.
Because we were running a deficit until we took that $400,000 one-time hit. I think we were running a deficit this year off of our budget base of close to $1 million, but I can figure that easily.
Okay, I'd like to see that number because I kind of like base that a lot on my decisions as well.
The current fiscal year was based on 850.
Yes, sir.
I think the year before that, I wasn't in this position, but I think we based it on 800. But we've been running consistently above that, so it's running a surplus. And I'll confirm with Ed on this budget what we're basing our budget on in terms of a monthly GRT number.
Yeah.
And then as it comes in, I can give you every month surplus or deficit if we're running above it, below it, or what.
Okay, yeah, that'd be helpful. Because that way, if we need to tighten our belt, because I don't want to start dipping into previous year and previous. Once we know we're dipping into other revenues to keep up with the demand, then we know that we need to do.
And you know, one thing I've been wanting to do for 2 years is, once Ed and Michael get in here, I want to take the money we have in the bank, the cash balance, and I want you to back out all the encumbered funds. What is our true cash balance?
Exactly.
And that way you have a true, you know, because I know what our debt payments are, but what are we liable for? You know, county money, EDC, all that stuff, back it all out and give you guys a true number of what we have in reserve.
Because it doesn't happen every year. And we want to know what, I just want to look at actual, because that's what we really base it off. GRT's not, I mean, these are all extra monies we receive, and we may not receive them this next fiscal year. That way we kind of like.
Yeah. And the next GRT number that comes out is going to be from the month where the market and oil took a huge drop.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions, David, as far as the visa for vendor 15166 clerk. I've seen some purchases here, and I'm just asking, caps for outside employees, uniforms, jackets, hats for wastewater uniform, and uniform shirts.
Yes, we provided the departments that work outside in the summer. Robert, how many baseball caps did you buy? 40 for wastewater, water, streets, parks and rec, cemetery. Yeah, so that was that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're doing it properly. I want to make sure that we were doing anything not correct. I talked with Robert, there were a couple for wastewater for cemetery and Lava Rock City Hall. And he said something about the visa, using the visa for wastewater for that.
Okay. For the Lava Rocks for City Hall?
Yeah, underneath wastewater, first and second one.
Right. Sometimes what happens is if a certain department's card is maxed out and we need to purchase something, they'll move it under another department's card.
That's what Robert
Yes, sir.
told me. so.
And it's always in communication with the two department heads, so no one's doing anything behind another department head's back or something.
Okay, and the other, last one I had was with the Solid Waste Authority, the street sweepings, Solid Waste Authority, what they provide for that? Roll off, what do they?
It is a roll-off because the street sweepings, they have to go in a dumpster. We can't just leave it on the ground.
Right.
So they have, the street department dumps that and then they put it in one of those containers and that's hauled off. And I know after a while, their street sweeper was down for a while. And then, when they did get to streets to sweeping again, it was
Fair amount.
that they had to get hauled off.
And how much the wastewater sludge do we send off? Is that a couple loads or?
It's 2 or 3 roll-offs a week, right, Robert?
Yes, sir, it depends on what we get into the plant. I mean, usually it's 5 to 6 a week.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
We were having some issues down at the dump, the landfill about, they were saying it was too wet, it wasn't dry enough, so we kind of had some accumulated and we had to get rid of it. So I think we've solved that problem, right, Robert?
For the most part, yes, we have.
Okay, I just wanted to check because I'd seen them on there, so that's why I'm asking. Other than that, I'm okay.
There's no further questions. Shannon?
Mr. Gander,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe.
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.